issue of injured virtue in my house. I went on in this way for a good many years, learning nothing but idle habits and loving nothing but my own way. I was 15 when a turn came in my life. Young Wilkins, the son of a well-to-do rancher, came into town riding a fine young horse which his father had given him. Half an hour later I had picked a fight with him, thrashed him soundly, and taken the horse as a natural prize of victory. I did not intend to steal the brute, of course, but I intended to give it the ride of its life, and I did. I brought it back to Mendez a couple of hours later, staggering, foaming, and nearly dead. I found it a fine young colt. I left it, a wrecked and heartbroken beast which was not worthy of its keep. Mr. Wilkins looked at the battered face of his son when he came home and said nothing. He felt in common with most Westerners that if their children could not take care of themselves, they must accept the penalty. But when he saw the condition of the colt, he had another thought. He rode to the home of the sheriff and spoke his mind, and the sheriff rode to the home of my father, and found him in the late evening, just returned from his rounds and wearily unharnessing his fagged team. The upshot of it was that I did not go to jail, but my father had to buy the colt at a handsome price. That outlay of money was a severe tax, and the sight of the useless new horse in the corral every day was a continual goad to both of my parents. They began to inquire among their neighbors, and the moment these good people found that the doors were opened at last, and that Lee Porfilo, the elder, was willing to hear the truth about his offspring, they unburdened themselves of 1,000 truths about me. I was described as a lazy ne'er-do-well, a consummate idler, a stupid bully, a foolish student, and a professional mischief-maker in the town. "The hangman usually gets youngsters that start out like this," said the most outspoken of all. My father came home to my mother and told her everything. There was a storm of tears and of protests. And then my mother sent for the priest. He listened to her patiently. He did not offer to advise her. He did not corroborate the reports of the loose-tongued neighbors. But he said when she asked him what she could do with me, "Give young Leon to me for 6 months. I shall guarantee to teach him his lessons, reform his manners in part, and give him a certain measure of industry." My mother was enraptured. "But," continued Father Maguire, "I shall expect a return for these services." My mother told him that he could ask whatever he wanted, and that Leon Porfilo would be glad to pay. "I do not want a penny," said Father Maguire. "If I cannot make that young man pay for his lessons and his keep and the trouble I am forced to expend on him, my name is not Maguire. Only I insist that I shall have absolute and unquestioned charge of him from the first day to the end of 6 months. During that time you are not to lay eyes upon him. At the end of that time you may see him, and if you like his progress and what he will have to tell you about me and my methods of teaching, you may leave him in my hands for a longer time. If you do not like my way with him, you may have him back, and I shall wash my hands of the matter." This was a great thing to ask of my mother. I am certain that she could not have consented had it not been that she could not understand the priest's reasons for wishing to take me on such unusual terms. Because what he demanded was a mystery, it overcame any possible objections on the part of either of my parents. Finally, they asked me if I were willing to go to the priest's house and to live with him. I considered my picture of the priest's life, his comfortable little house, his neat garden filled with well-watered, well-tended flowers, his sheds always freshly painted, his larder always well filled with good cookery, and above all the thin, patient, weary face of little Father Maguire himself. A sense of my own bulk overwhelmed me. Any change would have been delightful to me. I consented at once, and the next day my clothes and books, my whole list of possessions down to my latest fishing rod, were bundled together, and I was sent away to the house of Father Maguire. I was led into the house by the old servant, a half-blind woman who had worked for so many years in that house that she found her way about more by the sense of touch than anything else, I am sure. The sight of her was satisfactory to me.